Today, I want to talk about the basics of libel law and how to avoid any problems with that, especially for a publication. When I ask what the definition of libel is before going over it in a class, almost every time someone gives me the definition of liable. They say liable means you're the one who's responsible for something, and that's not what this is. Liable and libel are different things. Libel, as we're talking about it here, is a type of defamation. It's publishing something false that substantially harms someone's reputation. It seems like a straightforward definition, but there's really a lot of specific elements within this that it's important to understand. For example, what we mean by publication. That can mean anytime you put something out there. That could be the newspaper you printed, it could be a magazine, it could just be the website or social media posts that your publication sent out. Any of that would be considered publication. So to avoid issues, you're just making sure anything that's going out there is following procedures for your publication. Anything that you published is considered yours. You decided to print it. You can't just say, well, it was part of a quote. That other person actually said that, and they're the ones who are wrong, not us. If you decided to print it or publish it or put it out there, even if it came from someone else, then you're the one responsible for it. You took ownership of it then. So don't print something or put it out there unless you're confident it's true and you've double checked it. So, say that you have a recording of a student as part of an interview accusing another student of vaping or doing something else illegal in the school. That is not something you want to be putting out there if you want to avoid libel in any way. It can serve as background for a continued investigation or something in the school if you'd like, but that would be highly risky for libel if you have an accusation like that, just to put it out there by itself. Also, ethically questionable. When it comes to something being false, that applies not only to obvious facts that could be proven wrong if you didn't double check it, but I find this is often more of a problem with opinions, either in an opinion story or a review or just quotes from students that have opinions on things. Sometimes the opinions are worded in a way that are actually now statements of facts that someone could prove wrong. So not only are you double checking and verifying things to make sure your facts are correct, but you're also being careful that things meant to be opinions are worded in a way that they are statements of opinion and not now statements of fact. For example, if you have, a bunch of quotes from students saying things about their teachers that's kind of fun or lighthearted, and you have a quote like this from a student saying their calculus teachers must be getting high before class, not only ethically is that probably not going to run anyway, but from the libel point of view, that is now a statement of fact. So the teacher could attack that and say that they're being harmed by it, and they can prove that they don't do that. And now you're in huge trouble. So make sure we're avoiding language that could be false. In the end, have committed libel, you need to have been at fault for it as well. That could be because you found that you purposefully wanted to lie about someone, which obviously should never happen. But it could also be that you just were careless. If it's shown that you did not follow up on things or try to verify, it could certainly be found that you as the reporter were at fault. So you're always, again, double checking, verifying things are true. If something's true, that's an absolute defense against libel. You cannot be liable if what you published was the truth. And you can't just qualify it. That would be considered lazy and careless as well. To just put the word I think in front of a statement that's false or say, well, allegedly this does not cut it. That's never been found to be good enough. It's still a statement that still could be considered false and still could hurt someone. So you are double checking these things, not just slapping I think or maybe in front of it. So back to that student accused by another student of vaping, and you can't just stick the word maybe in there if you have it checked with other people. So maybe you're using it again as background for a larger story, but the qualifier alone does not save you. That could most certainly still be libel. When it comes to the harm you might have done, someone does need to be able to prove for libel that you did harm them significantly in some way. And often that comes about if you've accused them of illegal activity or associated them with that in some way. Again, to avoid it, like a lot of these things, you're making sure to verify stuff, but especially you're making sure to reach out to someone who might have been accused or associated with something harmful in a story. you shouldn't be mentioning them at all if you're not also going to reach out to let them give context or provide information you might not have or correct some mistakes you might have in there. Say you have a story on a popular teacher at school who left halfway through the year and you don't really know why, and the school district won't comment on it. You want a story on it. You can't just print rumors from students that, oh, they think he was caught stealing or doing this other stuff. Just because the school district won't comment, you can't just print the rumor. That could still certainly be incorrect. It definitely could harm a teacher's future prospects if there's printed material accusing them of illegal activity. So you got to be extremely careful in these kinds of instances. And sometimes the story just cannot be pursued unless you kind of really luck out or get some sources to verify things that are 100% credible. And finally, someone does need to be identified in the story for it to be harmful to them, for them to accuse you of libel. That can be because you used their name or you included details that made it obvious to others who they are. So once again, you're double checking everything, but you're also being very careful about how much you're identifying specific people in stories that might be controversial or negative in some way. So looking back at that teacher who lost their job in the middle of the school year or left in the middle of the school year, and you have these rumors, you can't just leave their name off and consider yourself safe. If you're saying it's a teacher who left halfway through the year, people probably know who you're talking about. And in other stories, saying other information about where or when things happened often identify them, whether you use their name or not. So be very careful. Overall, then, as a journalist of any kind, if you're following best practices, libel shouldn't be too much of an issue. You're seeking a wide variety of credible sources and checking facts. And in any sort of opinion writing of any kind or quotes from other people, you're making sure that the language, if it's meant to be opinion, is a statement of opinion and not accidentally one of fact that could be harmful or wrong. If there are any other questions, you can find resources online, especially the Student Press Law Center at splc.org. Thank you.